A service of KIBMradio.com, the Internet's home for an all old-time radio.
Five bells. Stand by all stations.
Attention, all districts of 5-alarm fire. 5 bells, move in immediately.
That's it. Let's roll!
Let's go! Firefighters! Presenting Firefighters, the true-to-life story of our unsung heroes who stand ready to ride by day or night against our most murderous enemy, the demon of fire. In a moment, we'll join Chief Cody as he directs the firefighters in their efforts to control the blazing furnace in the basement of a large apartment house. We'll see why rookie fireman Tim Collins is thinking only of the danger of explosion, and how his young brother Jimmy is, strangely enough, the only one who can possibly avert this awful tragedy. But before we move into the roped-off area for a close view of the action, here is a message you'll want to hear. Let's go, firefighters. Let's move in past the huge hook and ladder truck at the apartment house. Rookie fireman Tim Collins stands near the street entrance to the basement, watching the smoke pour out. Jimmy and the gasoline delivery man Clyde, who volunteered to go with him into the heat, fumes, and smoke of the basement, have reached the brick wall behind which is the oil tank with its dangerous mixture of gasoline. Clyde quickly climbed on a barrel, hoisted Jimmy up to wriggle through the small opening, and in that cramped space, with the roar of the blazing furnace in the background, Jimmy shouts down to Clyde.
I see that valve thing now. Just let me get over to it and I'll turn it off, and then no more gas will leak into that furnace.
What kind of valve is it, kid?
Gee, I don't know, Clyde. It's sort of like a little wheel set in the pipe.
Well, listen careful, Jimmy. Turn that wheel to the right.
I'm trying. I can't seem to turn it.
What?
I've tried and tried until my hands are all straight. It just won't turn.
Well, take a good look at that valve with your flashlight. Is it rusty or anything?
Yeah, it's awful rusty, Clyde. Is that why it won't turn?
Brother, what a mess. It's no go, Jimmy. You'll never be able to turn it off. Get out of there while we still got a chance.
No, I'm not going to climb down from here until I turn this off. Chief Cody and Tim wouldn't give up. I'm not going to either. I don't care what happens.
This whole thing was my fault. But doggone it, Jimmy, we're not firemen.
Well, I'm a junior firefighter. That's almost the same. You can go if you want to, but I...
Don't talk like that. I'm sticking with you, kid. But if you pass out in there, I can't get you out. Even if I could get up high enough, I couldn't crawl through that hole like you did.
I'll be all right. If only this valve would turn.
Look, you climb back out. Let me help you down. You're not going to be able to budge that wheel without tools.
Then, Clyde, you gotta go to get him and bring him back.
And supposing you black out, kid. Supposing that tank explodes.
Gosh, I knew I was taking a chance when...
Good grief, he's fainted.
No, I won't let myself...
Listen, I got no time to argue. Crawl back to that opening where I can maybe pull you out. If you lose consciousness, then I'll get you out. I'll get you something to turn that valve with. I'll be back, Jimmy, I promise. You keep telling yourself that. I'll be back.
Quickly, Clyde climbs down off the barrel, staggers toward the one spot of light he can see dimly through the heavy smoke. Coughing and choking, he works his way toward the basement exit and the stairs that lead up to the street level. And as he emerges, the first person he sees is Tim Collins.
Clyde! Where's my kid brother? Where's Jimmy?
Behind that brick wall. Working on the tank valve. Rusted. He can't turn it. Gotta get some.
A wrench. I got one right here. Wait a minute.
Hey, that's lucky, Jim.
Yeah, I was trying to figure every possible thing you might run into. All of a sudden it hit me. Nobody turned that valve in years.
Time's up!
I can't, Chief. I can't. It's now or never. Come on, let's go, Clyde.
The two men disappear into the cellar. A moment later, Clyde climbs back up onto the barrel. Behind them in the closed-off furnace room, the blazing furnace roars like some crazy monster. But behind the brick wall, all is quiet.
Jimmy! Jimmy, all right, Jimmy? No answer. He must have passed out. And I told him to crawl back to that hole so we could reach him.
Clyde, I'm coming up there beside you. Grab my hand.
Okay.
That's it. Look, can you kneel down on your knees so I can stand on your back?
Yeah. You think that'll bring you up high enough?
I don't know, but high enough, I think, to see in that hole, maybe even reach Jimmy. Steady now. Yeah, just pull myself up a bit more.
Can you see in there?
Yeah. Jimmy. It's Tim, Jimmy. Wake up. Jimmy, you gotta wake up.
Oh, gee. Well, it's Tim. How'd you get here?
Listen to me, Jimmy. We've got work to do. Now, look, I can get my head and shoulders in this far, no further. Can you crawl over here?
Sure, it's just my head. It feels funny.
Oh, of course it does. Court, what's a little smoke and fumes to a fireman, huh? Jimmy, you've got to hang on to yourself.
Yeah. The valve, Tim, I can't turn it.
Look, give me that flashlight. You take this wrench. Okay. Now, look, I'll train my light on the valve while you...
Oh, gosh. I dropped a wrench. Tim, I can't seem to hang on to it.
Oh, that's no way to talk, Jimmy. Pick it up. Now, see, I've got my light on.
I got it now.
Yeah.
Will it fit around that wheel, huh?
Oh, you try it. Just keep trying. Now, don't give up now. Take it easy. Take your time.
I don't think we've got much time. The tank is getting hot, Jim.
Sure it is, sure. Don't think of that. You got a job to do. You got to get it right the first time, Jimmy.
I'll try. The wrench keeps slipping.
Come on. Tighten it. You know how. That's right. Hang on to yourself. That's it. Now get it just as tight as you can on that valve.
That's the best I can do. Now if it'll turn...
All right, steady, kid. Pull it around. Slow and steady.
It's turning. Tim, it's turning. I got it.
Of course you did, Jimmy. I knew you could. All right, all the way now.
There. That's it. That's as far as it'll go.
All right, now crawl over here. Never mind the wrench. That's right. Don't give up now. Closer so I can reach you, Jimmy.
I feel awful sick, Tim. Heavy all over, like I could hardly move.
I got you. All right, brace yourself, Clyde. I'm dragging Jimmy out. Just a bit more. Look out. Well, that's one way of getting down fast, all in a heap. You all right, Clyde?
Yeah, but Jimmy, he's out like a light.
I'll carry him out. You get outside fast and tell Chief Cody to concentrate on the furnace. Tell him from now on it'll start dying. There'll be no explosion now. Tell him Jimmy did his job.
Later on, in the Collins home, just before dinner time, Chief Cody and Tim Collins come into Jimmy's bedroom. Mrs. Collins looks up at them from her chair beside Jimmy's bed.
Well, I hear your patient is coming along just fine, Mrs. Collins.
If it wasn't for me, he'd be out of his bed right now.
You take your time, Jimmy. You had yourself a full day. I don't mind saying I'm mighty proud of the boy, Mrs. Collins.
Yes, I think his father would have felt the same way.
Yeah, he's going to make a fine firefighter one day. Right, Tim?
Oh, you can say that again, sir. How'd you like it if the chief stayed to dinner, Jimmy?
Oh, swell. I'm starved, only... Well, gee whiz.
You know what's worrying the boy? He doesn't see how he can eat with his hands bandaged up like that.
He worked awful hard on that valve before I got there with the wrench, Chief.
Well, Jimmy, I guess a fellow who can swallow all the fumes you did and still have an appetite at the end of the day is okay.
That's one thing you can always count on.
By the way, son, Tim was telling me how you wanted to raise some money for the junior firefighters at school.
Well, yeah. My pal, Jack Carson, and me, we'd like to find some way to get the boys' armbands and stuff like that so everybody'd know who we were.
Mm-hmm. Well, the boys down at the station house would like to help out. After all, you sure helped us today. Did you ever think of an antique sale?
Do you mean old furniture and things like that?
Well, sure. People will pay a lot for the real thing, Jimmy. You could hold your sale at the station house.
We'd help you youngsters collect whatever folks around here would donate. A lot of old places in the neighborhood. Regular gold mine for antiques. Like that old Wilcox house.
You mean the haunted house?
Oh, come now, Jimmy. You know better than that. Old Mrs. Wilcox may be a mite strange, but she's got a heart of gold.
Sure. Why don't you start there?
You and your sister could go see Mrs. Wilcox tomorrow.
What's the matter, son? You're not scared of ghosts.
Of course not, but, well, Trudy might be.
Nonsense. I think Chief Cody's idea's fine.
Well, so do I, but about going up to that old house, well, I don't know.
Well, Mrs. Wilcox might give you a real valuable item. Then we'd send a truck around to pick it up for the sale.
And it would keep you from any more danger. You've had your share of trouble for a while, young man.
Well, all right. If Trudy's not scared, we'll go up there tomorrow. Only if you ask me, you can get into plenty of trouble in a haunted house.
Well, Jimmy is closer to being right than he knows. But you say everybody knows there aren't any ghosts or haunted houses? That's true, of course, but look at it this way. Trouble is always just around the corner in any house that's allowed to become a fire hazard. And Jimmy is right about the old Wilcox house. It is haunted, and you'll find out about it in our next exciting episode of The Firefighters. In just a moment, Chief Bob Cody will tell you, boys and girls, how you can help the firefighters in your own town. But first, here's a message I'd like you to hear. Now, Chief Bob Cody with a special notice for the Firefighters Brigade. Chief Cody.
Hello, boys and girls. This is Chief Cody with a word about mice. What do mice have to do with fires? Plenty, sometimes. One of the countless causes of fire in the home is matches. Matches left where rats and mice can chew and nibble them. So here's 2 things to do to remove this cause of fire. 1, keep your home free of rats and mice. And 2, as an added precaution, keep all matches, especially the non-safety type, in a tight container. Well, that's all for now. You'll be hearing from me again soon.
Fire Chief Cody and the young rookie fireman Tim Collins will be back on the same station the next time you hear...
That's it. Let's roll!
Let's go! Firefighters!
In just a moment, X-1. But first, everything from famous criminals to accidents in the home will be covered tomorrow when the staff of NBC's Weekday brings you another day of informative and entertaining listening. And back again to greet you as new hostess is charming Virginia Graham, well loved by every radio and television fan. There'll be big guest stars, too, headliners in every field. Mel Torme, singing sensation. Gladys Cooper, prominent Broadway actress, and many others. Treat yourself to the best daytime entertainment with NBC's Weekday tomorrow. And now stay tuned for X-1 on NBC.
Countdown for blast off. X-5, 4, 3, 2, X-1, fire. From the far horizons of the unknown come transcribed tales of new dimensions in time and space. These are stories of the future, adventures in which you'll live in 1,000,000 could-be years on 1,000 maybe worlds. The National Broadcasting Company, in cooperation with Galaxy Science Fiction Magazine, presents X-1. Tonight's story, Hello Tomorrow. After the Third Atomic War, when the Earth was a mass of red radioactive dust, a handful of men and women went deep underground in the struggle for survival. A new civilization was built deep underground, a civilization which must keep a ceaseless vigil against the deadly gamma rays which filter down through the Earth. A civilization where the prime consideration is the genetic survival of the race.
It is to this civilization in the year of our Lord, 4195, that we take you now.
Professor Lois Burton?
Yes.
I have a call from the Director of Emotional Stability for the Third Oblong. Go ahead, sir. Hello, darling.
Hello, dear. How is the Director of Emotional Stability? My, how impressive that sounds.
Don't joke, dear. You never know who may be listening.
Sorry. How are you? You sound tired.
Well, we've had some bad cases. Mostly frantic mothers who insist on imparting their feelings to children. I suspect it's chromosomes affected by gamma ray leakage from the surface, but the head of the psychotechnic division says they're glandular cases. But that isn't where I called. I have good news.
What is it?
The genetic board has approved our application for marriage.
So soon?
Our chromosomes tested perfect. We can marry any time we want. As a geneticist, you should know that our offspring should be 90 percentile of perfection.
I know.
What's the matter? You are happy about it, aren't you?
Of course. Terribly happy.
I'm coming right over to the lab.
You'll have to give me some time.
What's the trouble?
No trouble. You know that genetic survey I've been working on?
What about it?
Well, I've finally gotten permission to study an actual living case, a specimen of imperfect genetic transmission.
Really?
They're bringing him, or it, up from the condemned cages on the lower level.
You will be careful.
There's nothing to be afraid of. The specimen is XJ12. It's been studied before many times and is quite well trained. Oh, there's my door signal. I'll have to hang up, darling. See you later. Yes?
Professor Burton?
Yes.
I'm from the Phylogenic Institute.
Oh, you brought my specimen?
May I come in?
By all means. Oh, how...
Horrible? It all depends on your viewpoint. I happen to have a twisted leg. My parents were genetically unsound.
But then you...
Yes, I am specimen XJ12.
I see.
I hope you aren't shocked.
No stable person permits feelings to enter into his work. I will admit to surprise. I was expecting something a little more abnormal.
Well, I try to be as abnormal as possible. It pays off. The Phylogenic Institute allows me out of the genetic cages ever so often so I can breathe the pure air of the upper levels and mingle with the genetically perfect.
You seem quite well educated.
I spent the first years of my life here in the upper levels.
How is that possible?
As a small child, my mother concealed me from the director of heredity. My mother actually, dreadful word, loved me.
That would explain your obviously low threshold of emotional control.
If you choose to call it that. You seem to be struggling to repress a few feelings yourself.
We will confine ourselves to the impersonal aspects of our work.
As you please.
I shall require you as a demonstration for a lecture I'm delivering to one of my classes tomorrow.
At your service.
Sit here, please. Grip these electrodes tightly. I'm going to calibrate your electrochemical tension.
I'm quite familiar with the procedure. I realize that as an imperfect I am expendable, but I should hate to be electrocuted.
The charge is not lethal. Plus 15 surface tension.
You know, you have beautiful hair.
Plus 12 at a depth of 4 centimeters. My hair meets minimal requirements for the genetic code.
Lovely blue eyes. Crystal clear.
Plus 10 at 7 centimeters.
Pretty. A perfect woman. Lovely expressive hands. And a heart of stone. Like all the rest of you perfect survival types.
Shut up.
Could it be you do have feelings?
I seem to sense an air of emotional tension.
It's nothing, dear. This is the specimen.
You, specimen. Tell this dolt who I am, Lois.
This is the Director of Emotional Stability for the Third Oblong. You will address him as Mr. Director.
Mr. Director.
This creature seems quite impertinent.
He's only a specimen, darling.
Well, use him and ship him back to the cages. He's probably radioactive.
Attention, attention. The next demonstration will be conducted by Professor Lois Burton of the Institute of Genetics. Her topic, the probability of radioactive damage in the chromosome heredity of imperfect non-survival types. Professor Burton.
As you know, most imperfects are destroyed at birth. However, those who, for one reason or another, manage to survive are segregated in cages on the lower level for study purposes. The specimen we have today has been trained to tell in his own words about the factors in his upbringing. You will have to forgive his immature emotional control factor. He is, as you can see, quite different. Specimen XJ12. You will proceed, please.
Thank you. My mother was a psychotechnician in the Fifth Oblong. My father was an historian specializing in the records of pre-atomic surface culture. In the earthquake of 2170, apparently some hard radiation filtered down through the tunnels and penetrated the Fifth Oblong. The effect on my hereditary factors is quite apparent in this twisted leg. My father taught me in the last days before he was executed that every human personality is born with certain inalienable natural rights. The rights to have feelings, the right to mature, and above all, the right to be different from every other living organism. Because it cannot be otherwise, I submit to you, distinguished students, that the attempt by this society to abridge these rights is a violation of nature. I submit that the imperfects, the mutants, those who are different, have as much right to exist and be free as you. And I say, break open the cages.
Stop him!
Give us back the right to be individuals.
Stop him!
Oh!
Perhaps that will teach you. Professor Burton, take this specimen back to your laboratory and confine him.
Hold still while I bandage your head.
Oh.
You'll be all right.
I suppose you detest me for getting you into trouble.
I don't detest you.
What?
I don't know why, but as you spoke, something began to stir in me.
Tell me what you feel. If I moved you, then I must have moved the others, some of them at least.
For some reason, I took pride in what you were doing, seeing you stand up against them. Why do you look at me like that?
I can't help it.
I wish you wouldn't. You're only an imperfect, you know. Please.
My name is Orrin.
Please.
Say it. Orrin.
Orrin.
Again.
Orrin.
Lois.
Orrin.
Lois.
How touching.
Walter.
I've been listening for some time.
Walter, how could you?
In my capacity as Director of Emotional Stability, it is my duty.
What are you going to do?
Specimen XJ12 will be disposed of quite systematically by the state. For the good of the state, for the good of the genetic code, and in the name of emotional stability.
Walter, I have to talk to you.
Go right ahead.
Walter, you mustn't destroy him.
The specimen? Why not?
He's emotionally unstable. You have to expect irrational behavior.
Aren't you forgetting something, my dear? That you were responding in much the same manner? Or had you forgotten? You see, I'm having him liquidated for your sake. He has an upsetting effect on you.
Then send him back to the cages. But don't kill him.
You speak of destroying an inferior creature as if it was something unethical.
Walter, please, for my sake.
I understand that you have entered a plea for postponement of marriage at the Records Bureau.
Yes. I was too upset to go through with it.
It came as a great disappointment to me.
I'm sorry.
I was hoping that, linked to a stable personality such as mine, you might settle down. If he were married to me, I might even be persuaded to send him back to the cages instead of having him destroyed. Think it over.
If I refuse?
The choice is yours. Well, my dear?
Perhaps you're right.
I am.
I suppose I ought to be rational about this. After all, he's an imperfect.
I'm glad you've come to your senses.
When can we be married?
Tomorrow, if you like.
The sooner the better.
Let me talk to the custodian, please. Hello. This is the Director of Emotional Stability for the Third Oblong. I would like you to cancel the execution of specimen XJ12. Turn him over to be remanded permanently to the genetic cages. You'd better go. I'll pick you up in, say, an hour, and we'll make plans. All right?
Yes. Yes, of course.
Hello. This is the Director of Emotional Stability again. I want you to cancel that last order. Proceed with the execution, but under conditions of absolute secrecy. No, don't use the lethal chamber. Take him through the upper level to the tunnels. Yes. Yes, I'll issue a pass for the radiation checkpoint.
Into the elevator. Very well. Why are we going toward the surface? The cages are on the lower levels. Radiation check. I've never done that before. New procedure. Walk.
Halt. You can't go beyond this point. There is radioactivity in the tunnels.
I have a pass from the Director of Emotional Stability for the Third Oblong. Special mission.
I'll open the airlock.
March inside. Turn around.
So this is how they get rid of the imperfects. Now, before you dispose of me...
Yes?
Help! Security! Security!
What is it? What's happened?
The prisoner struck me. He escaped into the tunnels.
He won't last long.
Can you go after him?
I could send a robot, but it isn't worth the trouble. There's no way back from the tunnels except through here. The only other direction he can go is toward the surface. And the closer he gets, the hotter the radiation. Now, I think you can consider your prisoner officially dead.
More wine?
No, thank you, Walter.
You look very beautiful, my dear. Very beautiful.
Thank you.
The wedding will be a small affair. The Director of Endocrine Control, the Chief of the Security Guard.
Walter?
Yes?
Was he returned to the cages?
Oh, now, why must you spoil it?
Was he, Walter?
Well, as a matter of fact, there was a little difficulty.
Difficulty?
Yes, you see, XJ12 escaped.
How? Where?
He struck a guard and ran off into the tunnels.
The tunnels? But that's sure death.
He's free to return any time he chooses. Now, don't become upset, darling.
You planned it, didn't you, Walter?
Stability, darling, stability.
Stability. Here's what I think of stability.
Halt! State your business.
I'm Professor Burton of the Genetic Institute.
You can't go into the tunnels, Professor.
You'll have to let me by. I'm the fiancée of the Director of Emotional Stability.
Oh, I suppose you're after the one who escaped?
Yes.
He's quite dangerous, I understand.
I'm well armed.
Wouldn't it be better to send a robot?
I'm quite capable of handling him. He was my subject.
All right, miss. It's your risk. Checkpoint.
This is the Director of Emotional Stability.
Yes, sir.
If Professor Professor Burton tries to pass the checkpoint, I want her taken into custody.
Professor Burton just passed her. She
You
said
idiot!
But, sir, she said that
I
she
don't
had...
care what you said. Stop her. Send robots after her. Get her back.
Yes, sir. At once, sir. Robot control. Checkpoint to robot control. Order out all televocal robots into the tunnels. Have them bring back any humans. This is a first priority order.
Oren! Oren, where are you? Oren.
Hello?
Oren! It's Lois.
This way. Behind the rock. Over here.
Oh, darling.
Lois, why did you come here? It's suicide.
I had to. Oh, darling, are you all right?
So far.
You've got to turn back. Give yourself up.
They'll kill
You
me.
can't stay here. The radiation is +4 at this point. It gets worse as you approach the surface.
Lois, darling, go back.
What will you do?
I'm going ahead.
But you can.
I can. I'm going to the surface.
It's certain death. Not even the robots can survive it.
Well, at least I'll be the first human in 1,100 years to see what the surface of the Earth looks like.
Come back with me.
No, Lois.
Then I'm going with you.
Lois.
Don't try to stop me, darling. There's nothing to go back to now. Nothing but Walter and emotional stability.
You really want to come with me?
Yes.
You know what it means?
I don't care.
My mother used to believe there was a life after death. A place called heaven.
We'll believe it, too.
Oh, no, Lois, I can't let you go.
Oren, I love you. See, I know how to say it now.
Say it again.
Oren, I love you.
What's that?
It sounds like... Oren, it's a robot patrol. They're looking for us.
All right, come on. This way.
Oren, wait.
It can't be much farther, darling.
The robots. They're coming. I can see their lights now.
Listen, they've stopped.
The lights are swinging round. Oren, they see us.
Come on. Look, Lois, look ahead. You can see the lights reflecting from something.
It looks like a lead door.
Come on through. There must be some way to close it. Oh, yes, here.
Let me help.
Well, they won't get through that. It's solid lead.
Oren, I feel so strange. Where are we?
I don't know.
Look, up there. A huge round light.
Lois.
Yes, Oren.
Lois, that's Luna, the moon. We're on the surface.
How strange and red everything looks. How it glows.
It's the radioactivity.
Quiet and peaceful. And deadly.
Oh, hush, darling, hush. Sit here and rest a while.
Put your arm around me. Oren, I'm afraid. Oren, we're going to die.
Don't think about that. Just think about us. Alone. The first humans to stand on the surface of Earth in 1,100 years. That door must have been placed there by the last handful of survivors who went underground after the atomic wars.
And those other lights, the small ones, they must be stars. Oren, I'm so tired.
Go to sleep, darling. Put your head on my shoulder and sleep.
Hold me, Oren. Hold me very close. Oren.
Hmm?
Oren, wake up.
Hmm? What?
Look, it's light. The whole universe is light. Oh, Oren, how beautiful. Look.
This must be the heaven my mother talked about.
See the plants? All green and fresh. And the birds. How strange they look.
Lois, this isn't heaven.
But we must be dead, Oren. We should be dead. The radiation.
By all the laws of nature, yes.
By all the laws of nature. Orin. Orin, we're not dead. This is Earth. And we're alive. We're not going to die.
But, Lois, the radiation, it's present. You can see its effects.
Orin, did you ever hear of geotropism?
I'm not a geneticist.
There is a natural law of adaptation by which an organism will try to adjust itself to its environment by changing. It's called geotropism, don't you see?
No.
All these generations we've been bombarded by radiation filtering down through the Earth. Each successive generation must have inherited some degree of immunity.
But...
Orin, it can't hurt us. Don't you see? We're immune. We're probably the first generation to inherit sufficient immunity.
But, darling, if that's true, then we can transmit that immunity. We can pass it along to our children.
And they to their children. Come on. We'll have to find food and water.
The practical life. Wait a minute.
What are you doing with that rock?
I want to scratch something on the outside of this lead door.
Lois and Orin.
4195 A.D.
Hello, tomorrow.
You have just heard X-1, presented by the National Broadcasting Company in cooperation with Galaxy Science Fiction Magazine. It was an original story by George Lefferts, starring Jan Miner and John Larkin, and directed by Daniel Sutter. Next week, A Gun for Dinosaur by L. Sprague de Camp on X-1. This is the NBC Radio Network.
When the Johnson boat was towed to the Magic Island by the Euclidean submarine, it appeared that all hope for the Gregory party had vanished. However, Johnson was not on board the boat, having left it secretly on the high seas and boarded another boat returning to Los Angeles. The formula which Captain Bradford had sent to Johnson by homing pigeon has been taken by G47, and the Euclidean scientists immediately set about compounding this formula, thinking they have Captain Bradford's universal solvent. The formula is really something far different, however, and as we look into the laboratory, we see Jerry and Joan standing with G47, the woman submarine commander, and the submarine engineer.
Excellent work, Commander. You have brought them just in time. The work on the captain's formula is within seconds of completion.
I will take them to the confinement cells, if you wish it.
No. I want them here. Bradford is a very clever man. It is entirely possible that he may have planned a little surprise for us at the completion of the formula. It will be well to have two of his friends near me at that time.
What do you mean, G47?
If anything unpleasant were to happen, it might lessen the captain's enjoyment to know that you too, young fools, had received a portion of the treatment.
You are wanted at the table, G47.
Yes. Come with me, you two. Over here, quickly.
Is that the stuff there?
Precisely. It has reached the boiling point. The process should be complete any second.
I'm sleepy,
Joan. Boy, it's a good thing we got out of there fast, Joan. I forgot and started to talk.
And I too, Jerry. A little of the gas got in my mouth, but I think I'm quite all right now.
Now, we're supposed to go and stir up all the rest of the Euclideans and try and get them to rush into that room to save G47 and the chemist. Then they'll get some of the gas, too.
We will not need to alarm anyone, Jerry. That gong has done it for us.
You mean that gong will bring the others here to rescue G47 and his scientists?
Yes, Jerry. The single stroke of the gong was for laboratory number 1. The 5 strokes for this level.
Boy, then we'd better get someplace else quick if we're going to get away at all.
I do not know where to go, Jerry. We will meet other Euclideans if we use the elevator shafts.
I got it, Joan. Back into that noisy room, quick.
You are right, Jerry. That is the best place. I think we will be safe in here, Jerry.
Well, we better stick close to this door. Now, don't get out in the middle of the room where our voices make that funny hollow sound. Somebody might hear it outside.
I think the sound could not leave the room, but it is best to be careful.
Hey, who's ringing that alarm gong?
No one. It is automatic. One of the scientists must have been able to set off the alarm before the gas overcame him. It will continue to ring at intervals until someone enters the laboratory and shuts it off.
Well, from what Tex said, there'll be a lot of them enter the room before anybody wakes up to shut anything off.
How long will that gas in the laboratory remain active, Jerry?
Well, I don't know for sure. Tex said he couldn't tell that without knowing how big the room was and how airtight and how much of the stuff they mixed up.
Then it might be safe for the others to go in there quite soon.
Yeah, but what of it? Those fellows in there will sleep for hours, Tex said.
The Euclideans have many wonderful antidotes and methods for reviving an unconscious person, Jerry. We may not have as much time as you planned on.
I know all that, but we can't make a move till we find out about these others who'll be rushing in there now.
Jerry, the gong.
I didn't hear anything.
That is the trouble, Jerry.
What's wrong now?
The gong has passed the regular interval when it should have rung automatically.
Then that means that somebody got safely into that room and shut off the alarm.
Yes, and that means we may have very little time to reach and warn the captain.
Not only that, but we've got to get out of here before we're caught. Or our only chance to get away with this thing is to be back on the yacht, looking plenty innocent when the other Euclideans come around asking questions.
Jerry, I have thought of a way.
Well, dish out the thought quick. I'm no mind reader.
Over there in the corner is an old elevator kept noisy for testing soundproof devices. It is never used. We can try that.
Get going then, and don't let any grass grow under your feet.
Grass grow under my feet? Jerry, I do not understand.
Skip it. Take out for that corner. Go ahead, run. Show me where it is. I'll follow. Hurry up.
It's this way, Jerry.
If they don't hear this, they're all deaf.
It cannot be heard outside this room. Now we are out of the sound zone.
So I noticed. Now, where's the elevator?
I will move this lever. The door will open.
Boy, they sure didn't waste any soundproof paint on that.
Hurry inside, Jerry. Then we will go upward.
Okay, let's go.
This is not a good elevator, is it, Jerry?
Well, it goes up. That's all I want for any elevator right now. Hey, what are we going to do when we get off this thing?
What do you mean, Jerry?
Well, we'll be caught sure if we try to make it across the top of the island all the way to the yacht. Those guards in the control chamber on the surface won't leave their post to answer the alarm, will they?
Oh, no, Jerry. I had thought of that. We are not going to the surface. I know of a tunnel on the first level, just below the surface. We will use that.
And that will get us to the edge of the island without being seen?
Yes, Jerry. It will bring us out at Pier 5, within a few feet of my mother's yacht.
Oh, you're a peach of a girl, Joan. Oh, you're a honey.
I do not understand just what I am, but I like the way you call me those names.
Oh, you'll do, Joan. Hey, we stopped.
Yes, this is the first level. Now I will open the door. Get out, Jerry. This is the tunnel.
Boy, it's dark enough to be two tunnels. Now where?
Just a moment. I will set the lever inside the car for the fifth level again. Then when I close this door, the car will automatically return to the sound channel, and no one will know we have used the elevator.
You're getting better and better. Give it the gun. I got my flashlight. Is it safe to use it?
Yes, quite safe. We could not use the lighting system in this tunnel. The indicators in the control chambers would show that current was being withdrawn for use here.
Well, here goes the lights, then. Boy, this place is big enough to drive a truck through.
That is often done, Jerry. The electric carriers run through this passageway, carrying materials from ships to the interior of the island.
Okay, tell me about the wonders of the joint later. Just now, what direction is Pier 5?
Directly ahead, through the tunnel.
Come on, then. Let's go.
What can we do after we reach the yacht, Jerry?
No telling till we get there. But your mother and Captain Bradford will have some plan all worked out.
But even now the Euclideans, other than the chemists, are in the laboratory, trying to revive the chemists who were stricken by the gas, turning in alarms to all parts of the island, looking in every room and passageway for evidence that someone other than the Euclideans was there.
Well, we didn't leave any tracks, and nobody saw us coming out of the laboratory, so we're safe. And beside that, it was an accident anyhow. How could anyone prove the captain knew the foreigner would explode and make that sleep-producing gas?
The Euclideans have ways of doing many things, Jerry. Stop!
You didn't tell me any too soon. I just about bumped my head on that wall.
The passage turns here, Jerry, and circles the island, just at the base of the piers. But we go straight ahead.
Straight ahead? Through that wall?
The wall has a door in it. Watch. See?
Gee, another of those doors.
Yes, Jerry. Into the lock at once.
Another lock, huh?
Yes. Now I will shut the door behind us. Can you swim underwater, Jerry?
Sure. Can you?
Naturally. Now I will have to admit water to this lock. When it reaches your face, hold your breath. It will only be for a few seconds until the lock is full. The outer door will open automatically, and we will swim out. Ready?
Let her go.
Yes. Now, Jerry, when the door's open, swim straight out and up. My mother's boat should be directly in front of this door and within a few feet of it.
I get the idea. The water's pretty near up to my shoulders now. You're shorter than I am, Joan. Hang on to my shoulders.
I will do that, Jerry. Brace yourself so the last rush of water does not knock you from your feet.
Ready here.
I am ready. Say no more until we reach the surface near the yacht.
Hey, Joan.
Quiet, Jerry.
We're right between the two boats, Johnson's and the yacht.
Yes, Jerry. Swim well in between them until we cannot be seen from the island. We should be able to grasp the line the boats are lashed together with.
Yeah, good girl, Joan. Let's go.
Look here, Jerry. There is a large hole in my mother's boat, just above the waterline.
Yeah, one in Johnson's, too. What does that mean?
Roll in here, quick, kid, in Johnson's boat.
Captain Bradford.
Yeah, hurry up, Joan. You first. Crawl in that hole.
Yes. Come in quickly, Jerry.
Coming up.
Good work, kids. We heard the alarm going off at the 5th level, so we knew the formula done its work.
Yeah. What's the idea of the holes in the boat, Tex?
Come up into Johnson's radio cabin quick, and I'll tell you.
I think we will not have much time, Captain, before the Euclideans will come here and ask questions.
I know that. Here, look up for that beam. Duck your head.
Gosh, this boat's a lot bigger than the yacht, isn't it?
Yeah, it's nearly 40 feet longer. 20 foot on the beam. Plenty of storage space in the hold. Now wait until I look around before you kids come up here.
That is a good thought, Captain. It would excite suspicion if Jerry and I were seen returning to the boat, dripping wet as we are.
Yeah, all clear now. We'll just duck through this passage into the radio cabin.
Joan, my dear.
Oh, Mother.
I've been so worried about you.
We're okay, Mrs. Gregory.
Did the formula work as Tex anticipated?
Exactly, Mother. Every Euclidean chemist was put to sleep by the gas at once.
Have you raised him yet, Pat?
No, but I've been calling almost constantly. He should answer any moment now.
Who are you calling, Mrs. Gregory?
Johnson. But I'm calling our station at Wilmington. Johnson will know the message is for him if he hears it.
I think it is very dangerous, Mother. The guards in the control room will be sure to hear the message.
That's what we want them to do. They think Johnson's a prisoner here now. And if they hear us frantically calling for help, they won't blame that gas explosion in the laboratory on us. Keep trying it, Pat.
J24Y to Wilmington. J24Y to Wilmington. Patricia Gregory to Wilmington. Johnson arrived and captured. Captain Bradford's formula taken from Johnson and now in hands of Euclideans. Can you hear me, Wilmington? Patricia Gregory calling Wilmington.
Faster than a speeding bullet. More powerful than a locomotive. Able to leap tall buildings at a single bound. Look, up in the sky. It's a bird. It's a plane. It's Superman.
Kellogg's Pep. P-E-P, Pep. Kellogg's Pep, the Sunshine Cereal, presents The Adventures of Superman. Today, Homer Smith seems to have the upper hand at the Daily Planet, as Clark Kent finds himself unable to act as Superman without revealing the carefully guarded secret of his double identity. Hello there, gang. This is your pal Dan McCullough. Say, if you were going in for collecting, which would you rather collect? Model airplanes, pictures of birds, or comic buttons to pin on your jacket or beanie cap? Well, from now on, you can collect all three kinds of these swell prizes. Sure, right in your next package of Kellogg's Pep, the Sunshine Cereal, you'll find either a colored cardboard model of a famous fighting plane, one of 7 in the Pep Air Fleet, or you'll find one of 24 beautiful color pictures of birds, so you can identify these birds anywhere. Or you'll find one of a grand series of 18 colored comic buttons with characters straight out of the funnies. There's one or the other of these 3 keen prizes in every package of Pep. Just as if Pep's light Christmas and cool come-on flavor weren't a prize all by themselves. Why, Pep's so strictly terrific tasting that a bowl of those crunchy whole wheat flakes makes breakfast a regular fun feast. You get that catchy pep flavor, and right off, your spoon just naturally dips down on your dish for more. Yes, sir, Pep with cool milk and sugar is just about the keenest breakfast treat ever. So today, ask Mom to get you a package of Pep the very next time she's at the grocer's.
Now the adventures of Superman. As you know, Homer Smith, secret agent for a powerful munitions magnate who was conspiring to destroy the World Peace Federation, obtained control of the Daily Planet by blackmailing John Grayson, publisher of the great newspaper. Then, when editor Perry White defied Smith, he mysteriously disappeared. Smith was about to launch a vicious campaign against the Peace Federation in the pages of the Planet when Clark Kent, who had finally persuaded John Grayson to confide in him, arrived with a letter from the publisher ordering Smith to suspend publication of the paper until further notice. Smith refused and dared Kent to try to enforce the order. As they entered the press room, several hard-faced men armed with submachine guns surrounded Kent. Smith said,
"I've fired you from the Planet, Kent. So now you're trespassing here. Take one more step and my boys will shoot you down. And the law will uphold me."
As we continue now, Kent, surrounded by Homer Smith's gunmen, and with the eyes of the Planet pressmen upon him, realizes that he is trapped. If he defies the guns which will surely blaze at him, he will reveal his identity as Superman. His mind races desperately as the huge Planet presses clatter, turning out hundreds of thousands of papers which carry the message of the greedy munitions maker against the cause of world peace.
Well, Kent, do you still think you can stop me from publishing the Daily Planet?
Looks as if you've got me, Smith.
I'm glad you're smart enough to say it. Make yourself comfortable. The first run will be over in an hour.
You mean you're going to keep me here, a prisoner?
I'm going to keep you here to prevent any monkey shine, such as occurred before. When the press run is over, you can go.
But look here.
Sit down. And don't try anything funny. If you want to stay healthy.
Pretending to be resigned to his fate, Kent sits down on the concrete floor, his back against a massive clattering press. Then, unnoticed by Smith and his gunmen, he tenses his powerful muscles, leans back slowly. There is a heavy scraping sound unnoticed in the noisy press room. Kent hunches his back again, feels the great 5-ton press machine slide several inches from its anchorage. The moving of the giant press snaps a power line leading from the central generator, short-circuiting it. Instantly, as the power fails, the great room is plunged into darkness, and the presses and linotype machines clatter to a stop.
Don't move, Kent.
Me? Of course not, Mr. Smith.
Turn the lights on. Turn them on, I say. Donovan. Where's Donovan?
Now for a fast Superman job. Up over their heads. Up. Swinging over the heads of Homer Smith and his milling guards, Superman, still in his guise of Clark Kent, lands alongside the number 2 press. In the darkness, he almost grazes the puzzled workman there as he grasps the giant machine and swings it 6 inches out of position. Then he turns and drags a huge linotype machine a foot from its anchorage, moves to the next press, and the next, and the next.
There we are. These presses won't work until they're moved back into line, and since each one weighs several tons, that'll take all day and all night. Uh-oh. Donovan's hooking up emergency lighting from the casting room. Back to my little playmate.
What's holding up those lights, Donovan?
Half a minute, Mr. Smith. There you are. Well, mother of mercy. I never seen nothing like this in all my born days.
What is it? What's the matter, Donovan? Why don't you get the presses going again?
Look for yourself, man. Them presses, each one weighing 5 tons of it weighs an ounce. All of them moved half a foot or more out of line. Tell me, how could such a thing as that happen?
Well, what's the difference? Get them going again. We've got a paper to get out.
You won't get out no paper today, Mr. Smith.
We must.
It can't be done. Excepting if the same miracle that moved these presses out of line moves them back again.
But the paper must be printed, I tell you.
And I tell you it can't be, not today.
And tomorrow will be too late.
What do you mean, Kent?
Try to figure it out. Toodaloo, Mr. Smith.
Wait. Where are you going?
Oh, I'm going bye-bye. As practically anyone will tell you, I'm really much too delicate to help you move those huge machines. I'll be seeing you. So long.
Leaving the infuriated Homer Smith, Kent steps from the darkened confusion of the press room into an alley. There, swiftly resuming his true identity of Superman, he streaks 200 miles north to the doctor's house in the little village where he had left John Grayson, publisher of the Planet.
Hello, Mr. Grayson.
Why, it's Superman.
That's right. I'm, pinch hitting for Clark Kent at the moment, you might say.
I'm glad you're here. I didn't get a chance to thank you for saving my life today.
No time for that now. We've got to move fast if we're to find Perry White and the blackmailers and murderers who are trying to wreck the World Peace Federation.
I suggest we have Smith arrested. Then the police can find plenty of evidence against him and whoever's behind him.
Maybe. But so far, they haven't been able to pin a thing on him. Neither have I. If we arouse Smith's suspicions, they'll all get away. And that, unless I miss my guess, will mean the end of Perry White.
You think Perry is still alive?
Yes, I do. Only stupid men would do away with an important person like Mr. White unless they had to. And these men, whoever they are anything but stupid.
I hope you're right. But if we can't arrest Smith, how are we going to find the rascals behind him?
I've got a plan. Smith is worried by your letter suspending publication of the Daily Planet. He may be a little suspicious, too. At any rate, he's sure to contact you.
Yes?
I want you to insist on a personal interview with him, preferably at your house.
At my house?
Yes.
Why?
Well, I'll tell you later. Right now,
if he's suspicious, as you say, he may refuse.
I don't think he will. Tell Smith you're not well and that you don't want to discuss the matter over the phone. We'll have another story cooked up for him when he gets there. The important thing is to get him to your house. I'll take it from there.
What do you mean?
Well, I'll have to explain that later, too. Right now, we've got to get back to Metropolis. I arranged for Smith to be busy in the press room for a little while, but he'll be calling you any minute. You've got to be at home when he calls.
But we're several hours away from Metropolis.
No, Mr. Grayson. Just a few seconds.
What?
You're going by Superman Express.
Oh, you mean...
Come on, Mr. Grayson. Everything depends on getting Smith to your house. So up with him like that. Out through that window. So. Now. Up and away!
Leaping through the window with John Grayson in his arms, Superman streaks away toward Metropolis. What is his plan? And will it work? We'll know more in a moment when we return for the climax of today's episode. So stand by.
Say, you want to know a breakfast treat that wins by a cool mile these summer days? It's Kellogg's Pep, the Sunshine cereal. So light and cheerful in your dish, it practically flashes you a grin. One look at a bowl of Pep, and you can hardly wait to hitch up your chair and begin. And talk about flavor. Why, right off, Pep's keen, catchy flavor starts its solid sending. Not to mention how crisp and tender Kellogg's Pep is. Believe me, gang, here's a dish that's strictly on the terrific side. And Pep's a prize package in still another way. I mean those keen Pep prizes. Because right inside your next package, maybe you'll find a bright-colored comic button picturing one of your favorite comic strip characters. There are 18 of these buttons to collect and to wear on your jacket or beanie cap. Or maybe you'll find a bird picture in brilliant full color with a full description on the reverse side. Collect all 24 of them and surprise the gang by your knowledge of these birds wherever you happen to spot them. Or maybe your Pep prize will be one of the 7 exciting colored cardboard plane models, easy and fun to put together. All 3 kinds of Pep prizes are top-notch collector's items. So get busy right away. Ask Mom to get you a package of Pep, made by Kellogg's.
Late that afternoon, as twilight falls over the magnificent island estate of Rufus Pelly, the munitions magnate angrily paces his circular glass-walled turret study atop his great rock mansion overlooking the sea. In a chair, looking like an anxious accountant, Homer Smith watches Pelly pause in his panther-like pacing to replenish his coffee cup from the ever-present silver thermos bottle on a table. He drains the cup at a gulp, then lashes out at his companion.
I ought to break your neck.
Now, wait, Mr. Pelly.
I counted on 1 million copies of the Daily Planet carrying out attack on the World Peace Federation today. But you let me down.
It wasn't my fault.
Didn't I tell you 100 smaller papers all over the country, subscribers to the Planet's news service, would reprint our editorial from the Planet? That means millions of people would read the attack on the Peace Federation.
Yes, I know that, sir, but...
But you failed! You miserable fool! Don't you realize that the Peace Federation must be discredited? Wrecked? If it succeeds in bringing nations together over a conference table in friendship, there won't be any wars. And without wars, my munitions industries are worthless.
I understand, Mr. Pelly. If you'd just let me explain...
Explain what? How somebody made a fool of you and moved the Planet presses out of position so you couldn't print today's paper.
Can't understand how that happened. Those presses weigh several tons apiece. It would take a gang of men several hours to move them out of line. And I had my own guards in the press room with guns.
Somebody obviously tricked your stupid guards or bribed them. Probably that reporter, Clark Kent.
I don't believe it. It's impossible.
Rubbish! You slipped up there, Smith. And you slipped up with John Grayson. Else how would he dare write you a letter to stop publishing the Planet until further notice?
I don't know, sir.
You don't know, you stupid idiot. You mean you haven't talked to him yet?
Please, Mr. Pelly, one moment. Of course I talked to him,
but... what did he say?
He said he couldn't explain over the telephone. He wants me to call on him this evening.
This evening?
Yes, he said he wasn't well, but when I tried to phone him earlier this morning, I was told he wasn't at home. Sounds a little fishy. That fellow, Kent, sir. He seems very, mild, but I believe he's quite clever.
Well, he may suspect you had something to do with Perry White's disappearance and persuaded Grayson to try to trap you.
Yes, sir. That occurred to me. I'm sure Kent is working with the police, too. They searched my room while I was out.
There was nothing there?
Of course not.
If Kent is really clever, he'll figure you're acting for someone else. He and the police might even hope that you'll come here after you leave Grayson, and they can trail you. No, you must not go to Grayson's house tonight, Smith.
Then what do we do? Unless we scare him into line again, we can't print the planet tomorrow.
We'll take care of Grayson and print the planet tomorrow and every other day until we succeed in finishing the World Peace Federation.
But how?
I know how. So Kent and the police are laying a little trap for me, eh? Well, I'll teach them something about traps. And I'll teach Grayson, too.
While his claw-like hands caress his coffee cup, Rufus Pelly, the man who profits from the murders of war, chuckles grimly. His keen mind has seen through Clark Kent's trap, and now he plans a trap of his own. Since Kent has made it clear that everything depends on luring Homer Smith to John Grayson's house. Now, what will happen? What is the munitions magnate's counterplot? Don't miss tomorrow's thrilling episode, gang, as Clark Kent and the unseen Rufus Pelly engage in a desperate duel of wits. Tune in, same time, same station.
And remember, for breakfast, it's Kellogg's Pep.
For excitement, the adventures of Superman.
Superman is a copyrighted feature appearing in Superman DC comic magazines and is brought to you Monday through Friday at the same time by Kellogg's Pep, the Sunshine Cereal. Say, gang, talk about famous names. Why, Kellogg is the greatest name in cereals. And Kellogg makes Kellogg shredded wheat. Crisp, tender biscuits that are full up with natural nut-sweet flavor, toasted the Kellogg way, just right. Mighty good for breakfast, and mighty good for you. They're whole wheat. Mom knows Kellogg shredded wheat is economical, too. You get 15 biscuits in every package. They're made to fit the bowl. Ask Mom to get you some Kellogg shredded wheat. And be sure to be with us tomorrow for the thrilling adventures of Superman. This is the Mutual Broadcasting System.
You are alone in the dark forest, and behind you somewhere is the werewolf waiting to drink your blood. And you desperately desire the impossible, to escape.
Escape, produced and directed by William N. Robeson, and carefully plotted to free you from the four walls of today for a half hour of high adventure.
Tonight we escape to the backward world of Eastern Europe, where ancient superstitions still live in the minds of men. Tonight we escape with Geoffrey Household's grim story, Taboo.
Among semi-civilized peoples, there has always been widespread belief in werewolves, those fantastic creatures supposedly able to turn from man or woman into wolf and back again at will. This belief is still widespread among the simple folk of eastern Hungary, in the district around Zweibergen, high in the gloomy Carpathian Mountains, and I must admit not without some reason. Before the late war, I often spent my vacations in that area, drawn to the dark loneliness by the pull of my Slavic blood. It was the same with her, perhaps, and our kindred ancestry no doubt drew us together. Her name was Kira Vaughan, and she was there with her husband, a pleasant young Englishman. They were obviously much in love, and I felt almost like an intruder when I found myself the only other vacationer in the village. However, they made me welcome and invited me to dinner. It was an excellent dinner.
Won't you have some more strawberries, Mr. Shirabi?
Oh? Thank you, no, Mrs. Vaughan. I've eaten far too much already. I cannot say when I've had so excellent a dinner.
Thank you.
I'm sure I shall get nothing like it at the inn.
I should hate to have to stay at the inn.
You see, Shiraviev, my wife is one of those delightful creatures who cannot stand to be shut in. She must run free, preferably in the woods, with her hair streaming in the wind. She's quite unusual.
Indeed she is, my dear Vaughan. And you may count yourself most fortunate.
Oh, I do. Where else should I find so good a cook?
Oh, very true. I've never tasted venison quite like that tonight. Delightful.
Thank you.
Another of her little victories. She delights in outdoing the ordinary housewife. She disdains the village shop and gets her meat right off the hoof.
Oh? You do your own hunting?
Oh, dear, no.
Not that. She's much too kind-hearted and loving a person for that. She's found a new source. The district game warden brings fresh venison to our door.
Oh, it's not he, but his son.
True. The game warden's slightly moronic son, who is, I'm sure, in love with her.
Oh, that's ridiculous.
Oh, not so. It's quite understandable. I'm beginning to fall in love with her myself.
You see, my dear.
Thank you, sir.
Seriously, though, I can understand this wild desire to be free. This wish to, as you put it, run in the woods with the wind in your hair. It is some legacy of our Slavic blood, no doubt. Yours and mine and the game warden's moronic son. Somehow we feel at home in these dark forests.
Oh, you too.
Yes.
And I don't. I confess it, I don't. There's something here that frightens me. Something strange and inhuman and taboo.
Darling.
I'll confess something, Shiraviev. I don't like Kira to go out into these forests alone. Maybe I'm afraid that someday this emotional impulse of hers will get the better of her and she'll just disappear. Like those two men last week.
Oh? What was that? Have I missed some exciting happening?
No, not really. Though you'd think so to hear the villagers talk. A fellow coming home through the woods after dark just disappeared. Probably got fed up with life here in the village and lit out for Budapest.
And, what about the other one?
Oh, yes. Well, a search party went out the next day to look for the fellow. When they got back, they found one of their party was missing. Evidently, he'd taken the opportunity to skip out, too.
Is that what you really think?
Well, why not, my dear? If those men had been done away with, it might have been by something supernatural. And there's no such thing.
But might it not have been some wild animal?
Oh, the bears around here are harmless and the wolves are not in pack. At any rate, there would have been some sign, some blood, track, something. There was nothing. They simply disappeared, vanished, skipped out.
Richard, how can you be so careless?
You see the paradox? My wife, who loves the woods, believes the fantastic tales of the villagers. I, who confess to finding the woods strange and frightening, do not believe them.
Perhaps it is because you are frightened that you are afraid to believe them. What do the villagers say?
Well, you know this district well enough. They're talking of werewolves and such tommy rot. Oh, it's utterly fantastic.
Yes, to you, an Englishman, it would be.
And it isn't to you?
Fantastic, yes, I suppose, but perhaps Mrs. Vaughan and I, who feel at home in this forest, can understand and believe such fantasy a little more easily than you.
Yes, I remember many times as a child, I dreamt of being an animal. I thought then that I would love it. The freedom of the forest.
Exactly. That primitive instinct is so deep within us all. A heritage of some dim, distant past. In us Slavs, it lies closer to the surface. It takes very little to bring it to light.
Yes, it is true.
Well, you've placed my wife in a new life, Shiraviev. You'll have me suspecting her of changing into a wolf and running out to the forest to murder people.
Oh, please, Vaughan. You take me too literally. And besides, it is a shame to spoil so delightful a dinner with so gloomy a conversation.
Right. Shall we go into the living room? There's a cheerful fire in there. Oh, yes? What is it, Frida?
Beg your pardon, sir. But a message just came from the village.
Oh? What is it?
They want you and Mr. Shiraviev to come down there now. They're organizing another search party.
What?
Yes. There's another man missing.
Kira! Catch her, Shiraviev. She's fainted.
It was only then I realized that these people were under a terrible tension. I was to learn very quickly that the whole village shared it. Every able-bodied man in the district was at the inn when we arrived. The magistrate explained the situation.
The grocer. He went into the forest late this afternoon hoping to bag a blackcock for his supper. A little after dusk, a solitary shot was heard. That was 3 hours ago, and he has not returned.
But only 3 hours? Isn't there a chance that he might still return?
A chance, perhaps, but the other two did not. It will do no harm to search for him. We may still be in time to save his life.
We searched most of the night, and then next morning, Vaughn and I went out again. We climbed to my favorite spot for hunting blackcock, and then followed the trail down to the village, the trail the missing grocer would have taken. I was beginning to be a little exasperated at Vaughn. He seemed to be so casual and uninterested, as if he were convinced that this one, too, had merely skipped out. But I underestimated him. He was a skilled tracker, and suddenly he did show some interest.
Wait a minute. Someone has turned aside from the path here.
Hmm?
He was in a hurry. I wonder why.
I think you are right. There are some broken branches.
Why? Why here?
It's hardly likely anyone would go plunging into that thicket unless he had a reason.
Wait. See that big white rock behind the thicket? When you're being followed, it's comforting to have a clear space around you. You'd feel safe up on top of that rock with a gun in your hands, if you got there in time.
You may be right. Let's go up.
Righto.
We forced our way through the underbrush to the rock. It was 30 feet high on the downslope side, and a hot spring at the foot of it bubbled out of the cavity scarcely 2 feet wide. We made our way up to the slope, around it, and came out on top. There was nothing there except for some ivy in the cracks, and one small, stunted tree.
Aha! Look at that.
Where?
The tree. The entire base has been shattered by a charge at close quarters. Perhaps that was the shot that was heard.
You're right, it must be. They say there is always a tree between you and it.
What do you mean, it?
The werewolf.
Well, this must have been a baby one then. That mark is only 6 inches off the ground. No. I think the man's gun went off as he fell. Perhaps he was followed too close as he scrambled up. About here would be where his body would have fallen.
Do you see anything? I don't. No blood stain.
Yeah, well, wait. Look here.
Oh, but it's just a tiny spot.
Well, it's enough. It's blood, all right. And something more. A tiny bit of tissue.
Let me see. Yes. Brain tissue. Must have come from a deep wound in the skull, made by something like an arrow or a bird's beak. Or maybe even a sharp tooth.
But where's the body? There is absolutely no other sign. No evidence of its being dragged off anywhere.
No, I can't see any either. It's very strange. But at least we know one thing, Vaughn. This man did not just skip out. This man was dead or dying. When we brought our information back, the excitement of the village mounted. The peasants crossed themselves, and at the inn, the old tales were being told.
That's old Weiss, the game warden, talking now. And Josef Weiss, his son, beside him.
The moronic son?
Yes. The old man was a character, too. Listen.
The biggest one my grandfather had seen, and it followed him in the forest. Time after time, he met at the twilight outside his cabin, and time after time he fired at it point blank, but he couldn't hurt it. Then he founded a silver penguin and loaded his gun with it. One shot and the wolf disappeared. But next day, they found Heinrich the cobbler dying in his house with a beaten silver coin in his belly.
Fools! You believe such stupid talk?
Joseph!
My grandfather used to tell the same story. Only when he told it, it happened to his grandfather. Anyone can see it didn't happen at all. Such things can't happen.
Joseph, you call your father a liar?
I do.
Well, far from being a moron, Joseph seems to have more sense than the others.
Perhaps. Joseph, you're not afraid of this werewolf then, eh?
I? No.
Why not? The whole village is frightened.
I'm used to walking alone in the woods at night. You've got to be a part of the forest, then you'll not be afraid of it.
You do believe in werewolves then, eh?
I don't say a man can turn into a wolf, no. But I can understand why he'd want to.
Your theory again, Sharavyev.
Yes. I think I understand that too, Joseph. But what does it feel like?
It feels as if the woods had got under your skin, and you want to walk wild and crouch at the knees.
Yes. I think he's perfectly right.
And you explain it by some primitive urge?
Possibly. There may be many reasons. Physical hunger could be one. We sometimes forget that man was once a fleet-footed hunting animal with all the necessary instincts.
Hunger? Yes, we all know about that. About what it can do to a man.
I've been trapped in a cliff for 5 days. I know.
None of you have suffered hunger as we did in the prison camp during the war. None of you knows what it is to eat.
Joseph, let's not talk about it. He gets so upset remembering.
Well, we'll have to go on searching for the body and for the werewolf.
You'll not find it. Not until you arm yourselves with silver bullets.
Perhaps it is gone now, whatever it is. The search parties may have frightened it away.
It wasn't frightened by the first search party. It simply took one of them. Now it is still here. And it will strike again. You may be sure of that.
The whole village believed that Joseph Weiss was right. They traveled in the woods by twos now. No one went alone. For a week, village life was disrupted. The men beat the forest. The women tried to comfort each other. Kira wore herself out trying to be useful. The village women could not help loving her. But there was something else. Something strange. One day I spoke to Frida, the maid, about it.
Yes, she is a strange one, Mr. Sharibia. Even now I have seen her going out to walk alone in the woods at twilight. The women in the village think she is possessed.
What do you mean, possessed?
I hesitate to say, sir.
Come, tell me.
They are beginning to say sometimes the werewolf can be a woman.
At first, the suggestion seemed so ridiculous to me that I hesitated to speak of it. But then I decided to tell Vaughn before this rumor could reach Kira herself. He was naturally much upset.
That settles it, Shirabi. We've got to do something.
Something, yes, but what?
There's only one thing we can do. Track down this supposed werewolf.
But that's what we've been trying to do for a week. How can we
It's really very simple. We'll offer him bait.
Bait? Who will be this bait?
You and I, Shirabi. If you're game.
Why, yes, of course I'm game.
Good.
But how? Are you going to tie me to a tree and watch out with a gun?
That's about right. Only we needn't tie you up. And since it was my idea, you can have first turn with the gun. Are you a good shot?
Right.
This is no time for false modesty.
Yes, I'm a good shot.
Very well. It'll be night, and we'll have to shoot with only the moonlight.
Where do we go? To the rock?
Exactly. And the sooner the better. Tonight?
Tonight.
And say nothing, absolutely nothing, to anybody. Especially to Kira.
I understand. This is between us. Either we win, or we simply disappear. It was difficult getting away without telling Kira what we were going to do. She seemed to sense that something was wrong, and she sat staring after us with strange, angry eyes. In the village, Vaughn and I parted and made our ways to the rock separately. I reached there first and settled myself on top of the rock, almost covered by the ivy, the gun across my knees. Presently, Vaughn appeared on the path, and I gave the signal that I was there and ready. The trap was set. In the eerie stillness of the dark forest, we waited. Vaughn paced slowly on the path. I kept the gun sight trained a yard in back of him as he walked. Minutes passed in silence. Hours went by. Nothing happened. It was almost midnight, the end of our vigil. Vaughn waved his hand and started off down the trail. He would go fast in case he was followed, taking a shortcut down an old timber slide. He'd be in the village in 10 minutes. I was to follow presently. And then suddenly I got an intense feeling of dread. I was alone on the rock. My spine tingled, and then I heard a quick rustle in the ivy behind me. Something brushed my face. It was only a bird. A night bird had lit in the ivy and now swooshed past me and flew away. My nerves were still tingling when I got back to the village. Next day, when I went to see Vaughn, he gave me a warning glance. Kira was suspicious. I could see the question in her eyes when she greeted me.
So, here is the other culprit. Which of you is most to blame for keeping such late hours?
Why, I suppose to keep peace in the family. I should say it is I.
No, you can't get him off that easily.
I'm the only culprit, my dear. You see, I've never hunted deer at night. I asked Sharaviev to help me.
I suppose you shoot the poor things while they sleep.
Oh, no, while they're having their dinner, if possible.
You're cruel and heartless, both of you.
Oh, it's no use letting her start an argument, Sharaviev. I'll go get us a drink.
Oh, yes, thank you. I'd like that. Why do you look at me like that?
Was the hunting good last night?
No, not very. We didn't get anything, as you see. I'm afraid you'll still have to depend upon Joseph for your venison.
Where did you hunt?
Why, simply in the forest. Nowhere in particular.
You're not telling me the truth, are you?
My dear, I don't know what you're thinking, but I assure you...
Oh, never mind. I suppose it is best I don't know. But take care of him, please.
Of course I will.
If anything should happen to him.
But what could happen?
You know. You understand these things.
That night I was the bait. And I confess, walking there on the moonlit path, the dense undergrowth pressing close on both sides, the forest all around me, that I felt a strange terror. But nothing happened. Once a bear ambled across the path, paused, sniffed, and disappeared into the brush. Then a little later I thought I saw a flicker of white in the clearing below, but it never reappeared, and I decided it must have been a ripple of grass in the moonlight. At midnight we returned to the village, and I was beginning to wonder if our trap would ever be sprung.
We must keep on, Sharaviev. I have a feeling that tomorrow night, perhaps, or the next night...
I'm game as long as you are, but so far we've only lost sleep.
I've got to keep on. Have you forgotten about Kira? The things they're saying about her?
No, of course not, but surely these people would not do anything to her.
It's not that. It's what it might do to her spirit if she were to hear those insane rumors. She's so sensitive. I don't like to think about it.
Then, shall we go out again tomorrow night?
Yes. You must come to dinner, though, first. Vice is bringing down more venison. Kira will want you to come.
All right. Till tomorrow night, then. After dinner, we went out for our third night on the rock. Vaughn was the bait tonight, and I the watcher. The forest was alive with sound. A deer coughed. The bear came ambling back as woolly and harmless as a dog. I was watching him when suddenly he paused and sniffed the air, then disappeared into the trees. The animal sounds quieted one by one, and a tense stillness fell over the forest. My hand tightened on the gun, and suddenly I saw it. That flicker of white moving fast through the trees. It was coming up the path toward Vaughn, a soft, bulky white blur, coming surprisingly fast. Vaughn's back was turned. He did not see it. My finger tightened on the trigger. It was only a few yards away when he turned.
Kira!
I started to press the trigger.
No, Sheriff, no!
Richard!
Kira, what are you doing here?
Oh, darling, I'm looking for you. I looked last night, too. Oh, Richard.
Kira, you shouldn't have. It was foolish, terribly foolish.
Richard, there was something after me. I know it. That's why I was running.
Kira, you shouldn't be out here alone.
Oh, what about you? Where's Chiraviev?
He's up there on the rock, covering me with his rifle. I'm perfectly safe. I'll show you. I'll hold out my handkerchief like this. Now, Chiraviev, put a hole in that.
I stared for a moment at the white square of handkerchief, then at the white of her coat. My lips were dry. My finger felt numb on the trigger.
Come on, Chiraviev, the handkerchief.
Please, God, don't let me miss.
There, you see, my dear? I'm perfectly safe.
They went down the path together, and I followed after a moment. 100 yards from the timber slide, I knew I was being followed. Even before I heard something in the brush behind me, I stopped and turned around. Moved past me, cutting off my retreat. Now I stood alone in terror, but it was still in the brush. If only I could make the timber slide. I got down safely. I went straight to Vaughn. He came out of the house to talk to me. I told him what had happened. His reaction surprised me.
Chiraviev, I'm sorry I had to leave you up there to face it alone. But I had to bring her down.
Of course, I know that.
And you must believe this. She never left me. We came down together, arm in arm. We came straight down. You must believe that.
But of course, why should I think differently?
Then you must realize, whoever it was up there in the brush following you, it couldn't have been Kira.
Good heavens, Von. Do you think I believe that preposterous story?
Well, didn't you? Even up there on the rock, when you hesitated about firing at the handkerchief, didn't you believe it might be Kira?
No. Why, no, of course not. But I did. Von knew my thoughts almost better than I knew them myself. Yes, that was why my lips were dry and my finger numb when I pressed the trigger. I had refused to admit it even to myself. And now was I sure, even now. That night, Von was excited.
We're going to get it tonight. After last night, it'll be there waiting for us.
Yes, I think you are right. But if you are, we wouldn't want anyone else to come walking in on us. It might cause confusion.
Don't worry. Kira has promised to stay at home. She says we're doing our duty and she won't interfere. Do you think this is our duty?
No.
Neither do I. I never feel that anything I enjoy can be my duty. And now, I really enjoy this. Tonight, I'd like to be the bait.
No, it's my turn. I won't give it up. Besides, if it's the revenge you want, you have the gun.
That's so. All right, then. Tonight, you'll be the bait.
That night, for the first time, I regretted ever getting into this mess. As I paced up and down the path, my nervousness grew. Tonight, it would surely come. I felt it. But would Von shoot straight and quick enough? The hours went by. Clouds kept scudding over the moon, leaving me in deep darkness for minutes at a time. I was really beginning to be frightened. Then a fraction of a second before it happened, I knew it was coming. There was a hot breath on my neck, a crushing weight on my shoulder, something hard against my skull, and the crack of Von's rifle. Von!
Shirabiak, are you all right?
Yes, I think so. What was it?
A man, a winged. Come on. I'm going in after him.
All right, I'm coming. Von, where did he go?
I can hardly believe it. But he went right into this hot spring under the rock.
But there's hardly opening enough for a rabbit.
He went under the water. Come on.
Wait, Von, I'm coming with you. We plunged into the spring, wriggling our way forward, not knowing what to expect. Von held the rifle high above the water, but there wasn't room enough for our heads. We had to hold our breath
and plunge forward. Luckily, it was only a few feet.
I emerged and took a breath. Then I heard Von fire.
I've got him.
Where? Shine the flashlight.
There, at the other side of the cave.
Yes. Who would have thought there would be a cave here?
Not that anyone could have gotten through that spring.
It was a perfect hiding place.
Yes, but it does him no good now. Turn him over. Let's see who our werewolf is.
Where? What? It's Weiss. Joseph Weiss, the game warden's son.
Oh, why didn't we think of that? We all knew he was not quite sane.
More than that, he almost told us. Remember, he said, I do not believe a man can turn himself into a wolf. But I know why he'd want to.
Yes, and he described the feeling to walk wild and crouch at the knees.
He knew that feeling. He knew it too well. Beside Joseph Weiss, we found a murder weapon. It was a patented animal killer, a heavy iron muzzle that gripped the scalp, a heavy spike that was released by a spring. His hiding place was even more perfect than we had supposed. When the magistrate investigated, he found a passage from that cave which led underground for more than a mile, and finally to the game warden's house where a ladder led into his cellar.
Undoubtedly, Weiss found that dry underground river one day and realized he could use it. Perhaps that is what caused his mind to snap.
Yes, it released a long pent-up spring in him, like that weapon he used. He saw that he could run in the woods like an animal, disappearing and reappearing with perfect safety. It even offered a place to bury his victims without a trace.
And so your theory proved correct. But there's a murderous, primitive instinct lurking in some people.
Yes.
Well, it's all explained excepting what he did with the bodies.
It would serve no useful purpose to speculate on that now.
Yes, I suppose you're right. Kira, you haven't said anything.
Why did you have to shoot him?
Kira, he was a murderer. He tried to murder Shiravyev.
Is it murder when a wolf kills? A dumb animal? Frightened of intruders?
Kira!
You understand what I mean, don't you, Shiravyev? You understood that night when you shot the handkerchief. Just as I have. It might have happened to any of us, you see.
Kira, what do you mean?
Take me away from here, Richard. Just take me away quickly.
Escape is produced and directed by William N. Robeson, and tonight brought you Taboo by Jeffrey Household, adapted for radio by John Dunkel with Paul Frees as Shiravyev, Marta Mitrovich as Kira, and Morgan Farley as Vaughn. The special musical score was conceived and conducted by Cy Fure. Next week...
You were standing on a bridge over Owl Creek with a noose around your neck. You have only a few seconds left to live. A few seconds left to plan your escape.
Next week, we escape with Ambrose Bierce's famous story, An Occurrence at Owl Creek Bridge. Good night, then, until the same time next week when we again offer you Escape. This is CBS, the Columbia Broadcasting System.
Nestle's Ever-Ready, the instant cocoa. Nestle's Quick for great chocolate milk. And Nestle's chocolate bars now present Space Patrol. High adventure in the wild, vast reaches of space. Missions of daring in the name of interplanetary justice. Travel into the future with Buzz Corey, Commander-in-Chief of the Space Patrol. In today's transcribed Space Patrol adventure, Buzz and Happy are on the planet Saturn, searching for agents from Dargeeda. Investigating an apparently deserted scrap metal yard, Happy glances up at a crane control tower.
The tower looks empty, Commander. And the men we're after must be in the buildings at the other end of the yard. Come on. Uh-oh. What's that? The crane. Someone started the electromagnetic crane. Commander, look. It's swinging right over our heads. The magnet with the scrap metal hanging from it. Somebody is in that tower, Hap. If they cut the current, that metal will fall and crush us.
We'll return in just a moment with a thrilling story, The Conquest of Dargeeda.
Space Patrollers, this is Commander Corey. Let me ask you something. When Mom and Dad had their breakfast coffee this morning, did you have a good hot drink? You know, you need a real morning warm-up for all-day power. That's why you should always start the day the Space Patrol way with a big cup of Nestle's Instant Cocoa. It's just loaded with good hot nourishment for real energy. And Nestle's makes the greatest hot cocoa you've ever tasted. It's rich, it's smooth, it's delicious. It's really out of this universe. Now, wait till you see what fast fun it is to fix. And Nestle's Ever-Ready is so easy it just about makes itself. Now listen, here's all you do. Just put 1, 2, 3 teaspoons of Nestle's in your cup and add hot water. That's all. Now you're all ready to drink it and get your supply of morning pep. Nestle's Ever-Ready is a complete cocoa, too. You add nothing but water because whole milk and sugar are already in it. You ought to see the lineup around here when they sound a Nestle's call. Everybody goes for that delicious Nestle's chocolate flavor. That goes for me, too. Why don't you get the Space Patrol habit? Ask Mom to stock your galley with Nestle's and drink it regularly, the way we do, and you'll have power to spare. That's Nestle's Ever-Ready Cocoa in the bright red can.
And now, our Space Patrol adventure, The Conquest of Dargeeda. Shardu, who claims to be the rightful emperor of the remote planet Dargeeda, has sent spies to the solar system to recover a jeweled crown. Commander Corey realizes that the crown, in the possession of a tyrant like Shardu, could cause trouble and bloodshed on Dargeeda and in the United Planets as well. So far, Buzz has been able to outwit Shardu and his agents. In the city of Telgo on Dargeeda, Shardu blames his assistant Borvane for the failure of his recent attempt to destroy Buzz and Happy.
We had them both right here on Dargeeda, and you let them get away. But Shardu, the opportunity was priceless, and you bungled it. We could have forced Corey to tell us where he has hidden the crown, and we could have obtained weapons from the United Planets. Weapons that would ensure our victory over the League of the Green Serpent. It's not all my fault, Shardu. Sharptool. Just let me explain.
I am not interested in excuses. I have another plan that will ensure my victory over my enemies. And it will not involve us in any more battles with this Commander Corey.
But Sharptool, only Corey knows where the crown is hidden.
Listen, Bobby. This is my plan. In a few hours, agents of the League of the Green Serpent will land here on this planet. They will triumphantly announce that they have the crown of Dargeeda.
You say?
They will inform their leader that they obtained it from my agents in the United Planet.
But that will put the League in power. They'll destroy us immediately.
Wait. The crown is not done yet. I have had my gemsmith construct a reasonably accurate copy of the real crown. And my agents on the planet Mars have allowed these League agents to take it away from them.
I don't see how we can benefit from this trick.
Picture what will happen. The League agents will arrive here on Dargeeda in triumph. The planet will go mad with joy. When the celebration is at its height, we will step in. We will proclaim the crown a fake. What is more, we will prove it. We will produce ancient documents and pictures. Why, we can prove that the very jewels in the crown are imitation.
Even so, I don't see
Think of the reaction that will set in. The people will turn against the lead of the Green Serpent. They will be outraged against the League for using fraud and deceit.
I see. And they'll put us in power. You will be emperor.
Exactly. I will let myself be persuaded to rule Dargeeda.
Just one more thing, Shardy. Even if the League and its leaders are in disgrace, won't they still continue their fight against us?
I have also solved that problem. We need no weapons. I have worked out a method for one of my agents to steal United Planet spaceship loaded with weapons and bring it to Dargeeda.
But if the ship is missing, Corey will suspect us.
Not this time. The ship will disappear as though it met with an accident. Corey will never know the truth.
Right now, Buzz and Happy have blasted off from Terra and are on their way to the planet Saturn, where agents of the League of the Green Serpent are believed to be operating. At this moment, the Terra 5 is approaching the orbit of Jupiter.
Well, Commander, in about 3 hours, we'll have put 2 or 3 more Dargeeda agents out of business.
If each one we capture can lead us to several others. Someday we'll get a couple of key men from each faction. We'll have the whole outfit, Chardoos and the League.
It's sure strange, Commander. The cause of all this is the jeweled crown. A crown that's supposed to bring wisdom to the ruler who wears it.
Yes, and peace, prosperity, and justice to the people of Dargeeda.
Well, they sure won't get that kind of government from Chardoo or the League. The people of Dargeeda are advanced. In some ways, they're smarter than we are. How can they fall for this goofy superstition about a crown?
Oh, don't be too quick to call it superstition. Remember, centuries ago we learned that what one country calls superstition may be a scientific fact in another.
Yeah, but putting on a crown or a different kind of hat, well, that isn't going to make a man suddenly wise or good.
Too often it's had the opposite effect in our solar system, at least. But we know nothing about the crown, very little about Dargeeda. The sensible thing to do is withhold judgment.
Code 97, urgent call station. Code 97.
Commander, it's a distress call.
Switch to the emergency frequency now. Menacori aboard Terra 5 responding to code 97. Come in.
Pilot access door to Commander Corey. I'm in a spacesuit, free fall in sector 7 of the Jupiter orbit.
Get a pic from the signal house. Yes, sir. Go ahead, Vaughn. What happened?
I was aboard the Star Drive cargo ship J-18 with my co-pilot, Cap Decker. We were about to go into Star Drive for Pluto. Something went wrong with our air supply.
Yes, go on.
Decker's got me into a spacesuit. I'm hazy about the rest. I remember an explosion. And I was in free fall out in space in the suit.
What about Deckers?
I don't know. I haven't been able to contact him. He lost his life taking care of me.
I'll notify Jupiter Space Patrol units to search Sector 7 for Deckers. We'll pick you up, Thorne.
Thanks, Commander. I'm being pulled toward Jupiter. I can't tell what my velocity is, but it's probably increasing at a terrific rate.
I've got a fix on him, sir. He's about 50 degrees away on a 48-degree heading.
Keep your suit transmitter operating, Thorne. We've located you. We'll have you safely aboard in a few minutes.
And on the planet Dargeeda, Chardoo is in a jubilant mood. He's even forgotten his recent outburst of anger at his assistant, Bourvain.
My plan is working already, Bourvain. We now have weapons at our disposal. Powerful weapons from the United Planet.
So soon? Are they here on Telga?
We couldn't land the United Planet ship here in the city without exciting suspicion. But the weapons will be brought here to my headquarters in surface trucks.
And the United Planet won't miss the ship?
No.
After Deckers sabotaged the air supply, he took the pilot in a spacesuit and pushed him out into space. Then he tossed out a space torpedo. The pilot obviously will report that the ship exploded.
And the ship and Deckers will be listed as destroyed in space. Wonderful.
Listen. The people of the city celebrating.
Then the League agents must have arrived at the fake crowd.
Yes. And the crowds are carrying them through the streets in triumph.
I don't like it, Sheldon. Once the League leaders are accepted, it might not be so easy to get them out.
Nonsense. Let the crowd cheer. When we expose the crown as a fake, those cheers will turn to angry roars. They'll want revenge against the League.
I hope you're right.
Of course I'm right. The people will demand that I rule Dargeeda. If the League tries to stop me, I will declare them traitors and destroy them with our new weapons.
In Saturn City, not far from the spaceport, is a junkyard, enclosed by a high fence. Cautiously, Buzz and Happy enter through a small door at the rear of the yard and make their way around the heaps of scrap metal.
The place seems deserted, sir. Maybe the League agents were tipped off. This junkyard is just a front end. There wouldn't be much regular activity going on. Oh, see that old building at the other end of the yard? Yes, sir. That's the office. Somebody will be in there. I'll try to take them by surprise. With all these piles of scrap metal to hide behind, that ought to be easy. There's a tower in the middle of the yard. Control towers that are hidden in a heavy frame. Somebody's up there with that too, some sign of a alarm. It looks empty to me, sir. I think so. I wonder if those Jupiter patrol units have found any trace of Jeckers yet. No, I don't think they will. The cargo ship he and Thorn were on was loaded with weapons and explosives. Jeckers didn't have a chance. They did something like that. What do you mean, sir? Thorn said Jeckers got him into the spacesuit. He had that suit checked for fingerprints, particularly on the hand of the faceplate. Uh-huh. We found yours out there because you helped Thorn out of the secret. On the faceplate, we found other men, made by human fingers. But there were no prints, no recognizable patterns, just a smell. Those Jeckers must be from Dargeeda. Uh-oh. What's that? It's the plane. Someone started the electromagnetic plane.
Hey, Commander, look. It's swinging right over our heads. The magnet with the scrap metal hanging from it.
Somebody is in that tower, huh?
Hey, we'd better get out of here quick.
Stop right where you are. Stop or I'll drop this metal on you.
Where's that voice coming from?
I am up in the crane tower, and I can see every move you make. A directional microphone is picking up your voice. Where is the crown of Dargeeda?
We don't know. That's the truth.
Listen, Commander. 10 tons of scrap metal are suspended right over your head. If I cut off the current in the magnet, the metal will fall and crush you. Now, once more, where is the crown of Dargeeda?
We'll return to Space Patrol in just a moment.
I got a secret. I got a secret.
Well, hi, Issa. Gee, I like secrets. You want to tell me yours?
I'll give you a hint. It's about Nestle's Ever-Ready Cocoa.
About Nestle's Cocoa, huh? Well, let me see. Could it be a secret about why it's so delicious? You know, Nestle's Cocoa has an exclusive, rich, true chocolate flavor.
Just Captain Two-Cell. Everybody knows that.
Oh, sure. Well, let me see now. Is it about the magic speed of Nestle? You just put 1, 2, 3 spoonfuls in your cup and add hot water. You see, Nestle's is the only instant cocoa that's complete with whole milk and sugar.
Gee, that's no secret. Around our house, I make Nestle's Cocoa by myself every morning. It's a whiz of thick. Guess again.
Well, if it isn't about Nestle's delicious flavor or its incredible speed, then it must have something to do with its goodness. Because Nestle's Cocoa is complete with rich, whole milk and sugar, so it has plenty of power built right in. It's just the thing every boy and girl needs to start the day. Is that your secret?
Gosh, Captain Two-Fells, you'll never guess it. I suppose I'll have to tell you after all.
Well, Issa, don't you keep that a secret. If you're giving a party with Nestle's Ever-Ready Cocoa, let's invite the whole Space Patrol gang, because everybody loves Nestle.
And it's no secret that you can get Nestle's Cocoa in the big red can at your grocer's. Come on, let's go. We're having Nestle. We're having Nestle.
And now, back to our Space Patrol adventure, The Conquest of Dargeeda. Commander Corey has learned that agents from the League of the Green Serpent are using a scrap metal yard in Saturn City as a base of operations. Buzz and Happy plan to approach the office shack at the end of the yard by walking between stacks of pressed scrap metal. Suddenly, machinery grinds into action, and a huge crane swings a giant electromagnet over their heads. Clinging to the magnet is a mass of scrap iron. An amplified voice from the crane control tower roars an insistent demand.
Where is the crown of Dargeeda? I told you, we don't know. Commander, the space patrol message is coming through. If you aren't ready to talk by the time I finish with the call, I will bury you under the metal.
Can you speak with the one port while he's busy with the space patrol?
Hold it, Happy.
We tell him that the name of the person who hid the crown is in the secret files of Terra headquarters. Do you think he'd let us go? No, I think he'd smash us and then give the information to other agents.
Commander, I've got good news for you and for me. The crown of Dargeeda has been recovered.
Huh? Why, it's impossible.
Where is the crown? Where it belongs, on Dargeeda. That message was from our leader's headquarters. The League of the Green Serpents now rules Dargeeda. You are free to go.
Hear that, sir? Come on, let's get out of here.
One moment.
We're waiting.
I was ordered to spare your lives on one condition.
What is it?
That you give me and the other agents a chance to leave your solar system without interference.
How can I be sure they're all gone?
We came here only to get the crown. The new Emperor, Tolmir, wants no trouble with your powerful United Planet. What is your answer?
Tell your Emperor his agents have 24 hours to clear out.
Thank you. That is ample time. For myself, I ask you to stay where you are for 15 minutes to permit me to get away from the yard. Do you agree?
Yes.
As a gesture of good faith, I'll move the magnet that has been hanging over your head.
Oh, am I glad we weren't under that. There's something strange about this thing. Well, we'll wait 15 minutes and get to the spaceport.
Half an hour later, Buzz and Happy board the Terra 5 at the Saturn City spaceport.
I don't get it, Commander. There's only one way that Dargeeda agents could have found that crown, and that's to find the man who hid it. And we don't even know who he is. We're going to find out about that crown. After we blast off, I'll contact the secret documents section and have them check that coded envelope. And see if the crown is still hidden? Right. Ready for blast off, Hap. Close port. Fire jets. Up, chipping away.
Around Shardoo's headquarters in the capital city of Dargeeda, guards stand alert, armed with weapons never before seen on that planet. Shardoo gazes out the window of his office, smiling smugly at the scene below. As the door opens, he turns.
You rang for me, Shardoo?
Yes, Barbane. I am sending you on a special mission to the United Planets. You will blast off immediately.
But Shardoo, if the situation's so critical here on Dargeeda.
Difficult. The situation is perfect. Didn't you hear the latest news report?
Yes, that's what I mean. Your charge that Talmir is wearing a fake crown is certain to stir up trouble.
For Talmir, but not for us.
And will the people believe the truth? Won't they accept the new crown and Talmir as emperor?
Come here. Look down there in the street.
It's a mob of people, but they've been parading around ever since Talmir's agents arrived with the crown.
I am going to open the window. Listen to that. Does that sound like the tears of loyal subjects?
Frightening.
Frightening only to the full. Emperor?
But suppose they get out of hand.
I'll take care of them. You blast off for the United Planets and keep an eye on Commander Corey.
Why bother with Corey? No.
The latest news from the United Planets is that the League agents have been recalled to Dargeeda. The Space Patrol has agreed to a 24-hour truce.
Does the truce include your agent, Shardy?
No, not ours. But Corey is probably puzzled about the report that the Crown is back on Dargeeda. Perhaps, Bourbain, he will lead us to the real thing. Now go.
Contacting the secret document section at Terra headquarters, Commander Corey cuts in a scrambler circuit on his ship's spaceophone, thus foiling any attempt to intercept the message. A clerk removes the carefully coded document from the files and relays certain information to Buzz. Right now, several hours later, Buzz and Happy are in the home of Roger Kirkland in Venus City, searching the wall of the spacious library for a secret panel.
Kirkland said it was midway between two large pictures.
Oh, it was sure nice of him to let us come and snoop around in his home all by ourselves.
Busy at the office. Besides, I have a feeling he'd rather not know any more about the plan than he does. Now, should be right about time.
That's it, sir. Oh, you'd never know there was a panel there.
Keep your fingers crossed. Worry about little Kitty.
Open up. There it is.
So this is what Caravan covered.
Crown of Dargeeda. That sure is beautiful. Commander, what about that report from Dargeeda then? If they've got a crown there, it must be a fake.
Yes, sir.
Then what are they going to do with this one? Keep it?
No. Going to send it back to Dargeeda where it belongs.
Send it back? How?
Palmer, the head of the League of the Green Serpent, is now emperor. We have one of his agents, Cleto, in custody on Terra. To release him and send him back to the crown.
Stand where you are and get your hands up.
Bourbain, one of Chardou's agents.
Just stand there with your hands raised, both of you. In a few seconds, I'll have you under control with my sight force. Then I can put this gun away. You can put it away now. Take the crown. You're going to return it anyway. Oh, but not to the right person.
Palmer is emperor, isn't he?
Huh. Only for a few hours. And only by the clever intrigue of Chardou. By now, Talmir has probably been assassinated by his outraged subjects. Come. You are returning with me to Dargeeda and Chardou. You've got the crown. What does Chardou want with us? Revenge. Come, gentlemen, we mustn't keep the Emperor waiting.
Under the influence of the psych force, the powerful brain energy produced by Bourbain's mind, Buzz and Happy accompany the Dargeeda agents of the Terra 5. Spaceborne from Venus, the ship goes into star drive for Dargeeda. Right now, with Bourbain still guarding him, Buzz and Happy stand before Chardou in his headquarters on Dargeeda.
I am well pleased, Bourbain.
Thank you, Chardou. Here is your crown.
Place it on the table so I can admire it.
Yes, Your Excellency.
Now, about our prisoners. You have caused me considerable trouble, Commander Corey.
You'll have more trouble if you don't let us return to Terra.
My agents have already faked one possible disaster in your solar system. Your disappearance will be explained by another.
By fake disaster, do you mean injectors and a cargo of weapons and explosives?
Yes, Cadet. Those weapons are now being carried by my guards, and they may be used on Palmer and his followers.
And what do you intend to do with us?
My first official act as Emperor of Dargeeda will be to execute you.
Execute us? Why?
Because you are thieves and spies. Were you not caught with the crown of Dargeeda in your possession?
Well, yeah, but we were going to return it.
But to the impostor Talmir, how do we know which of you is the rightful emperor?
Obviously, I am. So I have the real crown of Dargeeda. That is the age-old traditional test.
Well, isn't it also supposed to be a tradition that the crown brings wisdom and justice? A fat lot of wisdom and justice we'll get from you.
My people will learn that what benefits me will benefit Dargeeda. I assure you, when I wear the crown, there will be no complaints from the people.
You're going to rule by fear, is that it?
It is the only way. The people have been taught that the crown confers wisdom and justice on its wearer. As long as they believe that silly superstition, they will automatically think that I am wise and just. Bourbain.
Yes, Chardou?
Take the prisoners away and lock them up. I will prepare for their execution.
An hour later, Buzz and Happy are led from a cell into a large room. They are placed against a wall, facing a throne resting on a raised platform. Armed guards stand silent at each doorway. Moments pass in utter silence as the space patroller stands staring at the empty throne.
Not that I'm in any rush, but I'm holding up the patrol. Starboard, waiting to make it another entrance, I suppose. Where's the time to make a break for? There's a guard at every door. They drop us before we move past them. Here he comes, walking toward the throne, before them carrying the phone. Look at the crown. Somehow it looks more beautiful than if we were on Venus. It seems to be glowing. I really don't have the same type of cells either. I do about the simply radiation stuff. Looks like Belvane is getting ready to speak.
His Highness Shardu, Emperor of Dargeeda.
We are here to execute these two criminals from another world. First, my Prime Minister, Bourdain, will place the crown of Dargeeda upon my head.
Hail, Shardu, Emperor of Dargeeda.
It is fitting that my first official act under the crown of Dargeeda is to order the execution of the two thieves who tried to keep the crown from its flight to its wearer. Let this be a lesson to all who defy Shardu. Guards, ready your weapons.
Your Highness, is something wrong? What's wrong? The stuff is going to kill you.
Your Highness is tired. Shall I give the command to fire?
No. All right now. Guards, lower your weapons. Commander Corey, Cadet Happy, will you step forward, please?
Oh, let's come over here.
Your Highness, the execution.
There will be no execution. I am setting these men free.
Commander, did you hear that?
Shardu, I mean, Your Highness, your first act as Emperor.
Silence, Bourdain. My first act will be one of justice and of gratitude. It is clear to any fair-minded man that Commander Corey and Cadet Happy have tried to preserve peace in their solar system and in ours.
That's true.
They risked their lives to save us from our own folly. Bourdain, you will see that they are returned safely to their ship.
Thank you, Shardu. Yeah, I don't know what came over you all of a sudden, but thanks.
I will also return the stolen cargo ship and the weapons. I am sure they will not be needed on Dargeeda. If I can do anything else to make amends for the trouble I've caused, please tell me.
No, Shardu. We've got our ships and our freedom. And you've got the crown. Oh, about the crown. The minute you put it on, Shardu, you changed. Say, Commander, could that legend be true? Or is it just radiations from Dargeeda's sun acting on the jewels and influencing Shardu's mind?
I don't know, Hank. Whatever the explanation is, the crown seems to be right where it belongs.
Yes, sir. And you know something, Shardu? On you, it looks good.
An action preview of next week's exciting Space Patrol adventure in just a moment.
What's new?
Nestle's new.
Nestle's what?
Coconut.
Right you are, Hap. Nestle's new coconut bar is the newest idea in chocolate enjoyment. It's rich, it's sweet, it's creamy milk chocolate. Just loaded with fresh toasted coconut. It's so crisp when you bite into it.
And it gets crisper with every bite. Smoking rockets, eating a Nestle's coconut bar is so much fun. Now, I just happen to have one right here in my... Well, maybe it's in this package. Oh, I was sure I had one somewhere.
Well, Hap, you know that's just an excuse to get me to give you a big fresh coconut bar.
Oh, gee, Commander, you can see right through me, can't you?
When it comes to your eating habits, I certainly can. You just can't resist any of Nestle's sensational chocolate bars, and especially the delicious coconut bars.
Yeah?
And we will tonight. So here, let's see.
Oh, man. Me for Nestle's coconut bar.
And now, a preview of next week's exciting Space Patrol adventure. A criminal scientist has discovered a method of traveling back through time. He has taken Buzz and Happy back 14 centuries and has left them on a desolate seacoast on the planet Earth.
I just can't realize that we're back in the year 1591.
Well, let's make the best of it. After all, our ancestors did.
Then we're stuck here in the past forever?
Well, Hap, there's one slight chance of getting back.
Yeah? What is it, sir? Hey, I feel strange. Everything's going black. What's that sound?
I don't know. I feel like I'm floating.
Commander, what's happening to us? Commander! Where are you?
with us again next week for the thrilling Space Patrol story, The Time Pirates. Space Patrol, created by Mike Moser, starring Ed Kemmer as Commander Corey and Lynn Osborne as Cadet Happy, was written by Lou Houston, produced and directed by Larry Robertson, executive producer Helen Moser. Other players were Ken Mayer, Norman Jolly, Bela Kovach, Dick Tufel speaking. This week's Space Patrol was brought to you by Nestle's Ever-Ready, the instant cocoa. Nestle's Quick for great chocolate milk, and famous Nestle's chocolate bars. This program is broadcast to our armed forces overseas through the worldwide facilities of the Armed Forces Radio Service. Space Patrol came to you transcribed from Hollywood. This is ABC Radio Network.